Alright, nerds, now that we are done with Beowulf and his epic saga, it's time to move on to the next big shot writer of Old English literature. It's none other than Venerable Bede. We'll also be looking at Alfred the Great, who legit slayed not only as the king of Wessex, but also as the king of literature. Let's take a look at Venerable Bede's life. So, this monk dude named Bede, he was a total brainiac. He lived in the Northumbrian monastery of Jarrow and was like the smartest Anglo-Saxon scholar ever. People even consider him the greatest English historian of all time. Talk about impressive. Bede was born in Tyne and Wear on the lands of Mungwermouth, Jarrow. When he was just a kid, he got sent to the Mungwermouth monastery. Later on, he joined Abbot Selfrith at Jarrow. Fun fact, both of them survived a crazy plague in 686 that wiped out most of the people there. Talk about lucky. Now, Bede spent most of his life chilling in the monastery. But that didn't stop him from doing some serious traveling either. He checked out all sorts of abbeys and monasteries across the British Isles. He even hung out with the Archbishop of York and King Ceolwulf of Northumbria. Dude got around. During his lifetime, Bede wrote like 40 books. He was all about theology and history. The guy had a thing for numbers too. He went all in on investigating stuff like the church calendar and even tried to figure out the exact date of Easter. Oh, and he's the reason we use the BC and AD system to divide time, leaving a legacy. But the book that made Bede super famous is called The Ecclesiastical History of English People. He finished it up in 731 AD. This bad boy tells the story of how the English went from being pagans to being Christians. It covers the whole period from St. Augustine's arrival to the early 8th century. Pretty epic, right? In this book, Bede spills the beans on how the English converted to Christianity. It all started at the top with the tribal kings, queens, and warriors getting on board. But he also throws in some fun stories, like, get this, King Redwald of East Anglia had a Christian altar at one end of his building and a pagan one at the other. Can't blame the guy for hedging his bets. So there you have it, the lowdown on Bede and his incredible work. The dude was a legend in the history and scholarly game, and his writings continue to blow our minds. The Ecclesiastical History of the English People. The Ecclesiastical History of the English People is a history book written by the Venerable Bede way back in 731 AD. Bede was a boss historian who documented the Christian churches in England and the conflicts between the Roman Rite and Celtic Christianity. This book is written in Latin and is like a gold mine of info on Anglo-Saxon history. It's a big deal in shaping English national identity. Bede wrote this bad boy towards the end of his life and dedicated it to King Ceolwulf of Northumbria. It was his magnum opus, a grand record of how Christianity spread in England. The book is split into 5 parts, covering the history of England from Julius Caesar's time to 731 AD. Bede used ancient letters, traditions, and his own knowledge to piece together this epic tale. It's a mix of historical facts, miracles, and Bede's careful assessment of sources. Now, let's break it down by books. Book 1 covers the late Roman Republic until 603 AD. Book 2 takes us from 604 to 633 AD. Book 3 is all about the years 633 to 665 AD. Book 4 focuses on the period from 664 to 698 AD. And Book 5 wraps things up, spanning from 687 to 731 AD. Each book brings us closer to Bede's present time, drawing on documents and oral testimonies. The Ecclesiastical History is a treasure trove of historical knowledge, although it does have some gaps that leave us secular historians wanting more. It's filled with miracles and Bede's meticulous examination of his sources. While it may not be 100% relatable or reliable, it's still a valuable resource for understanding early Anglo-Saxon history. So, if you're curious about the roots of Christianity in England, give Bede's book a read.